All right. Hello and welcome to this live webinar that you may be listening to as a recording. My name is Chris Cordell. I am the founder and the owner of the Write Journey business. Formerly, we were called Writing with Chris for many years in the Sacramento region, where we offered on-site classes for homeschool students. So this particular webinar that I am sharing with you today is how to get the most out of your products. And perhaps you have purchased one of our handbooks or study guides, one or more. Perhaps you're just considering purchasing them and you want to know more about what exactly are these products that we offer to you. So good for you for tuning in. If that is a question that you have, I am going to address that. So we do offer a few products. I'm going to start out by telling you really what these products are not, because they're a little bit maybe non-traditional when it comes to educational communities where we're looking for certain types of curriculum. So these handbooks and guides, they are not comprehensive curriculum. So if you tuned in to my introduction to the Write Journey, or if you've had any conversations with any of us from our business, you probably already know that we have kind of a unique philosophy, and that is that we do not teach 100% of what there is to learn about language arts or about English or about writing. So we are not a business that teaches or provides curriculum for 100% of the content that there is available. So we focus on 20%. We say we follow that 80-20 rule, which is a business principle that is taught to business owners to identify the 20% of their business that is most productive. So we've identified the 20% of all the great writing curriculum and instruction that is really available, and then focus 80% of the resources on that 20%. So 80% of our resources for our business really focus on the 20%, which are the writing steps and strategies that I shared with you in the introduction to the Write Journey. The writing steps and strategies, just by way of quick review, are the first step is to brainstorm, to gather quality ideas. Then we teach students to outline, to organize their ideas. The third step is to write a rough draft. So they put their ideas from their outline now into complete sentences following an organized format and structure. And then they learn the task of rewriting to create excellent sentences. So that is the four-step writing process that we teach all of our students, from the youngest to the oldest. And so there's great continuity throughout all of our classes. And our materials, our products that we provide, handbooks and study guides, those are going to teach those methods. All right, so, but remember, it's the 20%. So what it's not is comprehensive curriculum. It's also not, we don't provide any teacher's manuals per se. Our handbooks, so if you see the Write Journey Writing Foundations Handbook, or maybe the Write Journey Intermediate Writing Foundations Handbook, that is going to be a product that is written for parents or for adults. So that is going to be information, content that really teaches you the writing methods that we use and teach our students, that you can in turn really come to understand yourself and be able to teach your students. So handbooks are written for adults. In addition, we have student lesson guides. So the Write Journey Student Lesson Guide, or I believe it says Writing Foundations Lesson Guide. There will be an intermediate Writing Foundations lesson guide for a little bit older students that will be coming out sometime early this summer. But student lesson guides are just that. They are guides that are written for students. They are companion guides to the handbooks that we have written for parents. The content of instruction is the same. Handbooks are written with parents as the audience. Student lesson guides are written with students as the audience. So they are written with a different voice when we write, with a different audience in mind. The student lesson guides will have 12 lessons that we teach students to teach them how to write a paragraph, or when the intermediate lesson guide is available, that will teach students how to write 3 body paragraphs for an essay. So these 12 lessons can be taught at any pace. They are for a wide range of students. Our basic student lesson guide, the one that is currently available on our website right now, the target age group for that one is about 4th graders through 6th graders, but younger students can certainly benefit from that information, and even older students can certainly benefit from that information. We have found, and therefore we believe, that it doesn't really matter the age of a student until a student can write one paragraph well. There's no reason for them to move into writing multi-paragraph. Even for you adults who are working through some of this content and learning how to write well yourselves. I know that many of you do not even feel well equipped yourself to write, let alone teach your children or your students. So we encourage you to come alongside your children, or just take this content and learn it yourself. So learn by writing a single paragraph. Of course, more advanced students will move through that information and content very quickly, and young students will take a very long time as they move through that content. But student lesson guides are not workbooks that students are going to be completing. These are non-consumable. So you get one, it's good for the entire family as often as you want to go through it, and I encourage you to go through it often with your children. So students will have instructions for how to complete their own writing. There will be 12 lessons. They may take one lesson and spend 2 weeks on it. They may get through 2 lessons in 1 week. It doesn't really matter. You move at a pace that is comfortable and is working well for you and for your children. So these are not comprehensive curriculum. These are not answer keys. So the handbook for parents, it's not about an answer key, because there's no need for an answer key. The student lesson guides are not workbooks. They're simply instructions written for students to help them with their own writing. All right, and these are not grade specific, as I did already touch on. There are target age groups for some of these guides, but they are not grade specific. And we know very well in the education world that, grade labels don't mean a lot. They don't have a lot of value, but we tend to put kind of a target age group on these guides to help you and give you a little bit of an idea, but certainly there's going to be a bit of description to help you know where your child is at. Always err on beginning to teach content that you think might be a little bit easy for your children. The concern that we have, and we will always default to something that might seem a little bit easier for your children, rather than expecting them to tackle something much more difficult that is going to help cause them to feel a bit overwhelmed, because that will cause them to feel discouraged. It's too hard. I can't do this. I don't know what you're talking about. We prefer not to really have to wrestle with or address those kinds of responses. So it's okay if they're jumping in and it seems maybe a bit easier than a level you think they might be at, or that they should be at. Just get them started with something that's really foundational, and help them to move through as quickly as is comfortable. So that is a little bit about what our guides are not, and and what they are. So they are guides, just that. They are guides for you. They are handbooks. They are tools. They are very practical. So the methods that we teach are extremely practical for you to teach. They are practical for you in your own life. They are going to be practical for your children in their lives down the road through their their high school education, for any higher education that they may pursue, for the careers that they pursue. These writing methods, the steps and strategies, tools that we will be teaching are going to be very practical when applied properly. Very practical for whatever type of writing, whether students are writing academic response type of writing, which is primarily what we teach through our writing foundations and our reading and writing classes. It's more of an academic response writing because that's what they're going to need for college and career, most likely. But the writing methods that we teach and the steps, the strategies, can certainly be applied to those students who love to write stories, narrative, even poetry, because we do weave in everything from grammar to quality, concise wording and language and vocabulary, and skills such as the importance of planning what you're going to be writing. Even for students who are really looking to just write a story, they still kind of need to have a plan. Without a plan, we find that individuals do a lot of rambling as they write if they don't go in with a plan as they begin to write. So, practical, step-by-step methods for teaching writing primarily. There's another guide that I'll share with you, but we'll get to that. So as I mentioned, there is the Writing Foundations Handbook. That's this one right here. And this is a target age group is going to be like 4th through 6th graders. This is the one written for adults. Then we've got the Writing Foundations Student Lesson Guide. These are the two that are now available, and they are companion guides, one for adults, one for students. We do recommend that you purchase both of them. Of course, you can purchase one or the other, but you are going to find that there is information that you're going to be missing, and you're going to be a little bit perhaps confused or feeling a little bit uncertain about what you're doing. But if you have both, you should be pretty well prepared for teaching our writing methods. If you have students in our classes, our live virtual classes, these guides are very, very helpful as well. We require that parents, anyone who has students in any of our classes, they are required to have this Writing Foundations Handbook, because our business values partnership. So you as co-op leaders, as parents teaching your children, you are a partner in this child's educational journey, and you are partnering with us even if we are doing much of the primary teaching. It might be tutoring or any one of our classes. But you need to know what we're teaching your children in order that you can help and support them as they're working on homework at home or any types of assignments. So it's important that as adults, we're all on the same page. We understand terminology, we understand methods, we understand expectations. So those are both excellent guides. If your children are in our classes, this is, this one right here, the Student Lesson Guide, is a great way for your children to review during the summer all that they've been learning during our classes during the school year or any given semester. So this is one that is going to be able to be, it'll come in handy often throughout your child's education. Now, I do want to mention that we have another handbook for parents and student lesson guide for students that should be available by the beginning of the summer. And those are going to be for the intermediate level of our students. Intermediate level is just going to be our 7th graders, 8th graders, oftentimes 9th graders. That's going to be a great starting place for them. So for those students that are a bit older, this will be the handbook and student lesson guide that will teach them how to write a multi-paragraph composition. They will be learning the 3 body paragraphs of an essay. They will not yet be learning the introductory paragraph or the concluding paragraph. That will be saved for our advanced level. The intermediate guide has a little bit of content for MLA style writing as well, MLA guidelines. So the intermediate guide will have a lot of duplicate information that is contained in this current guide that we have available, but it will build on that. So the intermediate level handbook and student lesson guide, they may be purchased for brand new students and used for brand new students. It is not necessary to have the first the elementary level for students to complete, but it could be recommended. So if you have any questions or confusion about that, we would be happy at our home office to kind of talk you through that. The student lesson guide, same thing, will be for the intermediate level, the one that is coming out sometime this summer. That will be for the intermediate level. That will be for 7th, 8th, 9th graders, students who are certainly ready for multi-paragraph composition writing, students who have some formal instruction and have shown some degree of mastery in some sentence structure and basic grammar when it comes to writing. Sometimes we get some older students in that 7th and 8th grade range, and they're just struggling, or for whatever reason, writing is not something that they have great confidence or knowledge in. And so that original student lesson guide is going to be the best place for them. Again, they can work through it as quickly as is reasonable for them. Someday, I cannot even predict when. We hope to have an advanced guide, but for all high school students as well, this intermediate level guide will be a great starting point for them. So these guides have not only instructions and are very practical student lessons that are broken down for students just step by step. These go through each step in the writing process, as well as the rewriting process and how we teach students to create excellent writing, how to improve their rough draft by studying every single sentence and adding adjectives and adverbs, great descriptive language, and how to focus on strong nouns and strong action verbs, but to limit state of being verbs, to limit passive writing, teaching students how to vary the way they begin their sentences so they don't begin every sentence with the subject, because that's what students do when they are very young writers. But as we become more experienced and expert writers, then we create a variety of rhythm in our sentences through punctuation and the way that we add clauses, and we help our reader to see. We show our reader, we don't just tell our reader. So these are the types of things that we teach students when it comes to the rewrite process. As they've gathered excellent ideas, they've organized their ideas very well, they've written them out in complete sentences, even though those sentences may be pretty simple, then we teach them in the rewrite process how to create excellent sentences. So we teach all of that through these guides, and these are going to be the foundation of what your children can continue to practice throughout their entire school year after year. In fact, now we do also have a third guide that is currently available, and this is the Blending Literature with Writing guide. I will probably change this. It should be better titled Blending Literature with Writing Handbook, because this is one that is written for parents. I really want to kind of develop that that commonality in our products for you, so that when you see the word handbook, you think of in terms of something that is written for adults. So this Blending Literature with Writing guide is a handbook for adults, for you to use with your children or your students in your co-op. And this is an excellent study guide to really give you so many ideas of all of the ways to take a great book and just pull out all of the richness of that book. So in our classes that we teach online, we teach one book for 12 weeks. And a lot of people, they hear that and they kind of go, wow, isn't that like a really long time for a student to read just one book? But what we have found is absolutely not. When we teach students to slow down the reading, it's not about who can read the fastest. Can you get to the end of the book and just tell me if you liked it and what happened at the end? But we teach students to slow down the reading, to think deeply as they read, to reflect as they read, to reflect what they think and what they feel and what they're observing. So we teach them to annotate. Annotating is not just underlining, but annotating is learning to make notes in the margins of the book, make notes about what you're thinking or what you're feeling or what you're wondering about, what you're questioning. So annotations, charting, we teach them to chart. Maybe they're charting characters and how a character is changing throughout the book, or maybe they're charting conflicts, the main conflict that they're following throughout the book, and where's the climax? You know, when do you know you've reached the climax in the story, and what was the resolution? So many different things that we could chart. We can even chart vocabulary words or the author's writing style and sentence structure. So many things that we teach students to practice charting as they read. And these are all excellent study skills, right? So as students get into high school, as they go on to their higher education, and they need to be able to read information and study it and learn it for exams and compositions that they need to write, a research paper, they need to learn to think as they read, and they need to learn to reflect and actually document what they're thinking and what they're feeling or understanding or wondering about. And as they develop these writing skills, that will help them to have study skills later on. And we do all of this with a great book. We also developed excellent critical thinking writing prompts. So there's a difference between a comprehension question and a critical thinking question. Comprehension question just simply assesses how carefully a student is reading, how fluently they are reading, so that they can read with ease and they can actually retain some of the details about what they're reading. Critical thinking, on the other hand, is wondering why. It's all of the why questions that come up when we're reading a great book. There are questions that don't have a right or a wrong answer. They are questions that require individuals to really assess all of the facts, all of the information, what you've been reading up to this point, and then draw some conclusions based on those facts. But there will be an element of opinion that will come into the critical thinking questions. Opinion that will have logic and reason attached to it, that will be well articulated. And this is the most difficult type of writing for students, this literary analysis and critical thinking. So we get to use a book to study a book and annotate and think about and discuss in class and then write about. And when students can learn to write about this literary analysis and this type of academic response writing, then they are going to be well prepared in their thinking, verbal communicating, and writing skills for whatever is coming down the road for them. So these three guides, they all have appendix pages, which are excellent. So there's instruction throughout the guides, and all of it, again, very practical, but then there are many practical appendix pages that can be printed off multiple times, such as brainstorm outline or rough draft templates, or vocabulary lists, or lists of excellent adjectives, adverbs, descriptive words, checklist, a lot of different practical appendix pages that are also contained in these guides. We do have a section in our writing guides to help parents and co-op leaders to understand a very simple way to learn to assess your students' writing. That can be very difficult, complex, uncomfortable for both the student and the adult that is giving feedback and giving some correction. So we do give you some guidelines and suggestions as to how you can give feedback and how you can even give and assign a grade to writing assignments. So that is also contained in our guides and handbooks. So a lot of practical information for you. The three guides, each one sells on our website for $24.95. They are digital downloads, so when you purchase them, be sure to save them to your computer so they do not get lost in cyberspace. Just save them. You can print off the whole thing. You can print it in black and white. You can print select pages, whatever you want to do once it's downloaded to your computer. So these are digital downloads that come to you. If you purchase 2 guides, the cost for 2 guides is going to be $49.90. But if you purchase 2, you're actually purchasing the bundle. You're going to get all 3. So you're going to get a free guide. Say you wanted to get the handbook and the student lesson guide. You purchase the bundle, you're going to get those 2 for $24.95 each, plus the literature guide for free. So that's an excellent economical purchase for you. The other thing that I just want to share with you is that should you choose to purchase these guides and use them with your children at home or your students in your co-ops or your schools, what I would encourage you to do is to make sure that you listen to the instruction. So the Writing Foundations Handbook does have a page that has a QR code for you. The QR code, it's this page right here. So there is going to be, you will have some tabs that will notify you when there is some instruction for you from me on each of the steps in the writing process. So I would encourage you to listen to that further instruction on very short YouTubes that you can listen to. Please do that so that you understand why we require students to do each and every step. And we also invite you to attend our ongoing webinars. So you will find on our website that there will be by next week. If you look right now, you're going to see some webinars for ATP, Adult Training Program. That's all going to change. By next week, you're going to see that there is a webinar for community connections once a month. Live webinar, maybe about 20 to 30 minutes. And that live webinar is where there's going to be a title or a bit of a description as to what I'm going to be teaching. So I will be teaching those webinars. If you show up live and you have a question, you can just ask your question in the chat and you can get a response in real time from me. But of course, if you sign up for those webinars, you're going to get a recording that you can listen to at your leisure. But I'm going to be I'm going to be teaching all kinds of information. Let's see, some of those are going to include why do students write one paragraph in your program? Shouldn't they be writing more? So I will explain why writing better is preferred over writing more. Another option here is how do I get my child to add more interesting information to sentences in order to create better quality sentences? So I will be sharing some practical steps and strategies to help your children begin writing better quality sentences. So please, I want you to engage with me. I want you to share with me. Send me a message. Just send it to the home office. Say, hey, would Chris be able to do some teaching on this topic, this aspect of your writing, or something that your child may be struggling with? Because if you're struggling with it and your child is, likely somebody else is too. So we want to provide a platform and a community for you to connect with us and know that we are here to support you and help you on your journey to teach your children and your students how to be excellent writers. Join our Facebook group. That's another way to get answers to your questions and different perspectives that can help you. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to our newsletter. You do that, of course, from our website. You want to know when we have a webinar coming up, and you want to know when we have registration opening for classes and other types of important information. So please subscribe to the newsletter and just join with us. We are so happy and glad that you've joined us for this webinar, and look forward to the next time that we'll be able to connect. Thank you so much.